Stage, Mr. Tim Sens. He's not coming out until you guys raise the roof a little bit more. Well, I guess that gave it away, huh? Okay, can you hear me in the back? Very good. All right. So I was so interested in Steve and his talk that I didn't go in the back and get mic'd up. So all of a sudden he's introducing me and I'm like, uh-oh. So I kind of felt naked there. All right. So I'm going to have loads of fun with this one. This thing keeps moving up to my eye. I know it's just a piece of wire. I think I got it. We'll see. It's probably upside down or something. Leave it to Navy and Army over there wrestling, trying to figure out how to get it on. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about kind of like... So, if you can picture, my background was bomb squad, right? You already know that. I did work where, like, I would radiograph a bomb, and then, like, take a picture of it with an X-ray, and then I would look at the firing train. Now, this is important. I know you guys just said, what? Huh? It's really important so you know how I think. And I would look at the firing chain, okay? You can call it a train, however you want to view it. But there's a series of actions that have to take place in order for a bomb to go boom. And my job in the bomb squad was to interrupt that. So if there was a trigger device, such as a remote control, if there was you had to hit it in the nose in order for it to start the bomb to blow up. So whatever's going to initiate that thing, if I can make that thing go away, okay, well then I defuse that. If once it triggered a specific thing, if I could catch it before it hits the blasting cap, which is the thing that blows up the big boom. If I could interrupt that, then I could make that bomb not go kaboom, it would just go bang. Okay, so you just hear the blasting cap go off. And so we used a lot of different techniques to do that. Now what does that have to do with this? I have seen that a lot of people interrupt their big boom. Okay, so if a group of things have to happen before you're successful, you interrupt it yourself. So I'm always, and it drives my wife crazy, I'm always looking for the most efficient way to do something. I'm always looking for what is the pattern, what is the sequence, what is the this. And I have found that I found early on, when I first joined, I was coming to the training, but it wasn't training. It was a bunch of people saying, I did it, so can you. And I wanted the render safe procedures, as we call them. I wanted the pre-flight checklist. I wanted A, B, C, D, E. Do not go out of sequence. The bomb will blow up. That's what I wanted in network marketing. No one really had ever thought of it that way, I suppose, but, and so I just wanted to do that. I wanted to figure out, how do I do that? What do I do every day? Okay, so what this lesson is about is that. But there's a couple of things that need to happen before. Okay, so what I wanted to know, since I had set my target at $10,000 a month, I literally thought you would never have any reason for more money than that. It's not true. When you make $10,000, you'll spend all of it. Even when you make $100,000, you'll spend all of it because every charity gets to know who you are. So I wanted to know, what exactly do I need to make $10,000 a month? Give me the cheat sheet. Give me the plan. That's what it started out as. And here's one of the kind of the beginning stages of this. You are what you spend your time doing. You couldn't be anything else, right? So number one, jot down your monthly income goal. It's just real simple. Just jot it down. Number two, write a list of all the activities that don't contribute to that. In other words, write down everything that doesn't contribute to that. You have to kind of walk around. You have to look. You have to, because if you're in the middle of Facebook and you're scrolling or you're watching YouTube or something like that, you're not going to catch this the same. Write down everything that doesn't contribute to it that you do. And get them all out of your life. Then only put back those things which are vital. And that would be like family, your job, sleep. But that's it. So now I know that's a little bit harsh, but let me tell you a little thing about indecision. Shakespeare said it very well. To be or not to be. There's kind of no in-between. There isn't an in-between. You be or you don't be. So when you make a decision, go all in. I absolutely love what James is talking about in the way that people will kind of try. They will, do different. He had all these different phrases about how that person's going to interact versus whatever it takes. I've seen the same thing with indecision. So you got to make that decision. And the way that you can always tell it, the person moving all those distractions out of their house. So what I did is that, this kind of every one of those communication qualities had a story. I want you to know that. And the one where don't let your body distract the prospect, it had to do with me doing a 2-on-1. My person had salad dressing. We were eating lunch. My person had salad dressing all over his lips. And he was talking to the prospect. And I'm like, hand him a napkin. He goes, no, I'm good. I got one. Right? So it was that and several other instances. So every one of those communication qualities had a particular thing. But in mine, I had a bunch of distractions. Okay, so I'm driving and I feel the excuse machine turn on. And my excuse machine said, I don't have time. Okay, so I'm in check with that excuse machine. He and I have become quite well acquainted over life. And I know that this person that is somewhere in there is trying to stop me from having success. So anytime I hear the excuse machine turn on, I'm like, what are you saying now? And so I heard the excuse machine turn on and use the words, I don't have time. I was on my way to a meeting and I actually talked to my upline at that time. I was getting advice. I said, I don't have time. And he said, well, what do you spend your time doing? I go, this business is the only thing that I'm doing. I completely lied. Now, why did I lie? Because I was trying to the excuse machine was trying to protect me, right? Protect my lie. Protect my excuse. And on my drive home, there was a bumper, and there's a car way out in front of me. I'm going down a very long road. Where they put bomb squad people is a way, just in case they goof up. It doesn't blow up the streets. And so they have me way down this road, and I'm driving along, and I'm thinking about that I don't have time, blah, blah, blah. And I'm driving along, and I keep gaining on this truck in front of me, and I started noticing that these, like it was like firing or something. Something was sparking. And I couldn't figure out what it was. I got closer and closer and closer, and I got up on it, and I realized that the guy's bumper was broken off the left side, and it was bouncing off the ground, and it was throwing out a spark. And so the guy's bumper had broken off, and I'm driving along, and remember, I've got this excuse machine going on in my head. And I get up to it to where I can see that it's a bumper, and it had a bumper sticker that was bouncing. And I read it, and it said, "Retired Navy." The guy's car was barely making it down the road. Here I was heading towards retirement in the U.S. Navy. And I go, why am I making this excuse that I don't have time when I know that I'm in karate, I work out 2 times a day, I take weekends away where I go drinking with the buddies, I skydive on the weekends, why am I saying I don't have time? And so that's where all of this comes from, is me saying I've got to get everything that doesn't contribute to $10,000 a month out of my life. Put back in the vital things, and now go clean. Because trying to just, notice them, I wasn't able to do that because they were too embedded in my life. Daily activities contribute to goals, okay? Or they detract from goals. What is a daily activity? Give me an example. Contacting people that would contribute to that goal, right? Presenting would contribute to that goal. What would not contribute? Watching TV, cat videos, yeah, all those things, right? Okay, so I just wanted for you to make sure that you understand the difference between a contributing action and a subtracting action. Because a lot of people view it to where if they do something for their business each day, then they're being active. That's not active. Okay, so it's the number of contributing actions multiplied over the day is the only thing that's going on. I'm going to give you the actions in just a minute. You'll see exactly which ones do make money. Okay, so the activities I'm going to show you, there have been many that have come across there. There have been many people try to get me to add different things on there. But what I had to do that day, I'm telling you that I wanted this checklist, is I began to throw up things that I would hear at training meetings, and I would start working on it. And then I would look at results. Not immediately, but I was willing to look at, does that move me towards a $10,000 a month? That's what I was looking for. Does it move me towards $10,000 a month? And if it did contribute, then I kept it on the list. Other ones I would trash. And then somebody else would come up with an idea, and I would put it up there for a while, and then it would go away. And so these are the only ones that have stood the test of time. So I'm going to give you the broad view, and then I'm going to give you the very narrow view. So number 1 is goals. That makes sense, right? You got to know where you're going. So it's kind of like, what are we doing here? So the first 2 activities are establishing your goals and getting education so you can get results. Okay, so that's what that one is. The number 2 there is training. Almost sounds like my kid. Number 2 is training, and that is self-training. Okay, so there was a reason that Steve went through that training, is because I had to develop everything myself because I was not gifted in communication. I was the most quiet person you've ever met in your whole life. I was a wallflower. I would lean against the wall and people wouldn't even know I existed. Activity number 3 is you got to generate leads. Number 4, you got to connect with those leads, like on the phone or through social media, however you're going to do it. Number 5, you need to set appointments. And then number 6, you got to do presentations. And then number 7 is all of these are results. Then you're going to get retail sales, then you're going to sponsor people, and then you're going to train those reps. What are you going to train those reps to do? Go back to here. Okay? Let me share with you something that is that's very obvious. Once I say this, I've heard people like take a wooden stake right into their heart. If you don't feel that you can help somebody truly make money in this industry, you will not recruit. It will stop you because you don't have the confidence that you will actually help that person. You're afraid that person's going to waste their money. They're going to waste their time. I've seen it a million times. I see it in the eyes of people as to why they don't talk to people in their warm market and things like that, because they don't believe themselves. And if I have one job, if I left America on a plane and to fly here, I have one intention in this room. It is to get you to believe that it is not you personally, it is your activities that is going to make success or not. Because people will invent where you have a void. So you go, why did they say no? Where you create a void by saying why, or why didn't they join, or why did they quit, or why didn't they come in the meeting? When you generate a void in your head, you're going to fill it with something. And it's normally that excuse manufacturing machine that's going to fill the void. It's going to fill the void with, well, maybe I don't look right. Or maybe they saw the truck that I drove in here in. Or maybe, see, it's not those things. And it doesn't matter if it aren't those things, because you're going to change those things. So that's my entire intention, is these activities create success. Big success. I think it was in my first year, my second year, I had 11 people at $300,000 a year in income. How? I would sit them knees to knees. I would sit down and they would sit down. We would put our knees together and I would do drills on those communication qualities. And we would drill those things until they couldn't do it wrong. Right? We would go out and we would do door hangers on people's houses, selling a product or opportunity or something. We were always going out there and doing those things. It's activities multiplied throughout the day of you and all of your team that is your check. So when you look at your check, all I want you to see are these activities just churning that created that check. And it's the only thing that creates that check. Okay. So number one, I told you, was goals. So number one, though I write it, cultivate your goals. That's the way that I wrote it. And remember, this thing has been perfected and tweaked over years. Like almost 3 decades. So and the reason being is this culture means to nurture, to foster, to refine. And that is what I do with my goals. So when I read them, it's a quick thing because I know what they are. I don't have to, quote, be reminded of them. But here's something that I experience. When I read my goal, as long as I'm not doing some quick thing at a red light, where I do that, that's not how you read your goal. So I will normally, have a routine where I will look. And I will just, give it 5 seconds of just looking. And in the beginning, when I would do that, I would have all these ideas, hit me. And I immediately thought, man, I'm having a hard time keeping my attention on the thing that I want to pay my attention to. I couldn't stay on my goal. But then I realized what was actually flying out of my head. It was ideas about how to get it. So I would have marketing ideas. I would have brochure ideas. I would have flyer ideas. I would have ideas about going to a marathon because a marathon is going to attract 20,000 people and they've got to park somewhere. And so I would put flyers on the cars. Okay, so I started getting these ideas. That's the reason that I call it Cultivate Your Goal, is because when you read it, it generates ideas. Write them down and then look at them. Don't act on them because they could be a brainstorm idea, but not necessarily logical right now. I mean, I was thinking about a billboard sign, and I called them, and they're like, yeah, it's $50,000 a week. I'm like, I'll call you back in a year. You know, like, a little out of my budget right now. So, yeah, that's the ideas. Yeah, so I explained all of those things. Number 2, the second item that you do is you're going to do self-training. And this is where you get to focus on the area that you're most stumped on. Okay, so let me explain this real quick. I'm going to jump ahead a lot, and I'm going to show you the end. So this is exactly my action plan. This is how I've created, probably in my life, $20 million, okay? It is this sequence. You work this down, meaning that you start at the top and you go down the list. Okay, so I wanted you just to be able to see the whole picture here, because these items generate leads, connect, appointments, presentations, not these. So it's up to here. All of those items is what you do when you do self-learning. So when you're self-training, those are the items that you're going to do. So let me go back up there. Okay, so when it says self-training, I wanted you to know what I was talking about, and it is communication skills, marketing skills. Those are the primary 2 that you're going to spend a lot of time on. And then presentation tools. And the reason I say that is because presentations, you can pretty much find assets like videos and events like this, things. You can normally find other assets for your presentations, but you cannot replace inviting. You have to learn that. Okay, I was the worst in the world. It's the reason I had to learn it in my 20s. I didn't have like a social kind of a life. And so because I had to learn it in my 20s, it's like balance. You know, when you see a kid trying to figure out this whole thing on earth called balance, and they're like wobbling all around. Well, a person doesn't remember when they learn social skills. But I had to remember it because I was learning them in my 20s instead of just being raised in a family that had normal social skills. Okay? So self-training is the things where you need to learn specific things. All right. So number 2 there, second button there, is confusion equals lack of production. Anytime, if you're driving down the road and you think you're going west, and suddenly you see a sign that says the 90 east, you'll immediately pull your foot off the gas pedal. You're like, wait a minute, I'm going the wrong way. That little pause right there, you do it in business too. So that's what you're trying to avoid, is to be on track all the time. Each of the 9 activities are categories of knowledge. So if you were to go to RX University, just a concept, and you were to say, what is the curriculum here? You can view all those items as the curriculum that you're going to learn in order to become wealthy. And it's those categories. All training is not equal. Does that make sense to anybody? Okay. I remember an ad that I saw that said, make millions selling how-to stuff, even if you don't know how to. I thought, man, I can't wait to get that guy's book. He actually is advertising it. He's telling me he doesn't know how to make millions on how-to stuff. The next one was get paid for coaching people how to make money even if you've not made money yet. I really want that, coach. Guys, I'm not kidding. And so the internet makes everybody a publisher. And they can snap pictures, right? They can do the selfies. They can do things to where when you look at them, you think they are it. But then just get around them And you'll find they're not. I had one of the biggest personal development people in the world trying to, once I launched Brilliant Compensation, he got a hold of me and he wanted me to bring him into the industry because no person had ever gotten the whole network marketing industry on a single tool. And so he wanted to ride my coattails in. Now this guy, if I said his name, you would drop your jaw. And that guy was nothing but problems. He always talked problems and everything. And I thought, man, you know, and I listened to his tapes way back. And I was like, man, oh man. And so the reason that I tell you this is that you have to there's just picture that there is a whole ocean of raindrops. And they all look similar. And you have to be quite the detective to be able to say which one really works. And that's why I say just, make sure that it gets you results, right? That's really all that I'm saying. Just make sure it gets you results. And I'll tell you one person that I'm going to tell you who you follow. You follow this man. All right? You are a worthy man to follow. All right? James Lavelle is a worthy man to follow. He's worthy to follow. Okay? So, do so. Ineffective training is worse than no training. Why? Number one, you had to pay for it. Number two, it takes you off the activities that actually get you results. And if you've got a team, oh my gosh, you'll see these things all the time. An indecisive leader will create a blinking red light in a team. So it's like, this week we're doing this. This week we're doing this, and it's a whole different system. Okay, so those are the kinds of things you want to really, really avoid as leaders. I'm not saying we're always going to do the same things, because in marketing, that thing changes at least monthly. Some ads work real high as soon as I put them out, but then they go cold. And so marketing efforts change, but in terms of the system, this thing has persisted for 3 decades, right? So just as a strategy, it's not so narrow of how we do something. It's not that narrow. It's more broad, so you can put anything into the category. Also, watch out for trickery. This is just one of the warnings that I'm going to tell you about. Watch out for trickery or mind control types of self-development. And I'm talking about those things that say, manipulate the mind of your prospects so that they purchase before they even know what happened. I've seen these ads. I'm like, wow, why would I buy that buy anything from that guy? Who would write an ad like that? He's saying he's manipulating my mind. If you have the intention to make people's lives better, then you're going to treat them just like you want to be treated. Do you want somebody to manipulate your mind to get you to buy something? No. So watch out for these phrases about the psychologist writes the book that causes women to always say yes. Well, first of all, I'd be scared of that. Okay, so that's what I'm really trying to say here is watch out for those kinds of things on training. Follow James, you'll do great. Generate leads. Okay, so now we're getting into the actual activities that are going to make you, these activities generate the traffic to make money. Number one, generate leads. Promotion. This is a word. Promotion means to make known, tell people about it, get it out there. There's not a single organization in the world that doesn't promote if they want to have people. That makes sense to everybody? Does anybody feel as though that it is unethical to promote? Tell me the truth. Who in here feels slightly hesitant about selling? People are backing up, man. Like, oh no. You hesitant? You mind if I talk to you about it?
Yeah, do.
You mind? Okay, I won't talk to you about it. You mind selling? You struggle with it?
I don't mind offering and selling, but I struggle with that.
Okay. You struggle with it. So what part of it do you struggle with?
Just that you might be convincing people to buy things they don't want. Not that this is just done.
Convincing people to buy something they don't want. Not in this business. It's an overall concept in your head. Thank you very much. It only took one survey of one person to state the exact phrase that about 80% of all salespeople said what they fear most is selling something to somebody who doesn't want it. Now you guys know where the inviting formula came from. It's greet, qualify. What is qualify? Find out what the person needs, wants, or doesn't want. So if you properly do the greeting, which is to get them to talk to you, then they'll actually tell you what they want. Number 2 is the qualify. What do they need, want, or don't want? Find out, but really listen. Because if they tell you something that they want, don't try to sell them something that they don't want. Because when you do that, you're going to feel unethical and you're going to step backwards in this business. When you have high integrity, it is because ethically you do the right thing. You're willing to say, this may not be for you. And have no hesitations in saying it. Okay, that was a big one. That was a light bulb. Okay, because when you are fully ethical, when you talk to people, then you, there's a phrase like discipline sets you free. And a lot of people think discipline is the opposite of freedom, but it is freedom. Because if you have the discipline to eat right, then you don't have to worry about belly fat. You get the liberty of a healthy body. If you don't have discipline in anything, in business or whatever, if you don't have the discipline to crank through these numbers every day, then you're going to have the lack of becoming very wealthy. So discipline equals freedom. And it's a hard thing to understand by a lot of people. Okay? So get that discipline down fast so that you promote with integrity. You don't promise people what you can't deliver. And if you hear that they don't actually want it, never bring it up. I can go to a party. I can spend 4 hours at a party. I can end up with a list of 15 cards. And every one of them did qualify. The only people who got that I even asked for a card qualified. I never invited them because we're at a party. But I greeted everyone in the room, and there was a handful who qualified. They have no idea that I'm then going to contact them about the business later, or the product. Do you understand that when you know that the greeting, you can get in a conversation with people. And this was such a revelation. You know, I would go out with these girls, and I'd go out and I'd clean my car, with a toothbrush, and I would scrub the entire inside of the car, because I'm going to go pick up this girl, right? And I would do all of these things, and I would get dressed, and I would make sure, and my hair was that tight, but I do all these things, and you know what was really going on with her? She was doing the same thing. And so we were so interested in ourselves that the other one would find attractive. And then later, when I figured out this whole thing about being interested, I could sit down with a girl and just literally only ask her additional questions about anything she said. And she would go home to Mama and go, Mama, I met him. Who did you meet? Him. What was his name? I don't know. In other words, literally, when you genuinely care about another person and you ask about them, they are so mesmerized by who you are because you're interested in them. And so if you do that part, you're going to get a really good greeting. So anytime you go to a party, just ask them about them. And you're going to get a beautiful greeting. And then during that whole conversation, they're going to open up. And then they're going to say something that's going to catch your ear. It's going to be something like, like I'd say something like, in fact, this is how I got Larry King on the stage. Is that I'm sitting with Larry King. I helped him solve how he got into a pyramid scheme. I said, I go, so Larry, what is it that you love to do that you're not doing? And Larry King said, comedy. And I go, comedy? You? So, in other words, you ask people what they want. That's the way you get this thing done. All right. So, all of that was me talking about selling, because as soon as I put that word up there, I wanted to make sure you all knew that it isn't evil. What's evil is passing over your integrity line and saying, I want my goal more. I want volume instead of doing the right thing. I want check instead of doing the right thing. Okay? As long as you stay on the right side of your ethics, you can be fantastic at this, and you will feel so proud. There's not a more prestigious profession in the world than carrying a product worthy to carry to the people who need it. Nothing is more prestigious. There is no better profession because you get so much abundance back from it. Okay, so promotion means to make it known, tell people about it. Every organization, churches, political candidates, schools, businesses, everybody must promote if they plan to be in business for more than a week or two. Marketing means to write sales copy or write an ad that causes people to reach for it. And then selling is to match what a prospect needs, wants, or doesn't want with the product that you sell. And help the prospect make a decision on that. Okay. There are 7 billion people. Don't ever let the excuse manufacturing machine in your life tell you that you don't have anybody to talk to. Really? Seriously? I don't know how somebody can even believe their excuse manufacturing machine. Like, what? Come on, man, get better than that. Okay, I hope you snapped a picture of that, because these are the different ways that I go about doing calling people. It's where I get my ideas from, and it's where I put my advertisements. It's where I do all the stuff. Step number 4 is connect. Okay, so this is where you actually are going to, this is where the rubber meets the road. The promotion got them to reach. Now you're going to call them and greet, qualify, and invite. Alright, so a connect is when you actually talk to a prospect on the phone, you meet somebody, you reach out and have a conversation via social media, email, or text. Number 2 here, get great at crafting your message. So when you're going to send out a message in email, I normally save as and make a copy of it so that I can use it again, but just make sure you change the names and then go through it again and craft it unique to that person, but have a template. It'll save you a lot of time. And always remember which bucket you're in when you craft your message. What was that gal's name who spoke about the social media? Girl, you killed it. What you talked about, you absolutely killed it. I was sitting there saying, man, this girl is on it like Blue Bonnet. I don't even know if you guys have Blue Bonnet here. So great job, because see, when you private message somebody, you got to remember that prospect, whether you're in the greet part, or you're in the qualify part, or you're in the invite part. You have to remember where you are with each prospect. Because that is how you break it and you do it wrong, is when you reply back with an invite, but you're actually at the greet stage. That's like, will you marry me? Oops. Oh, sorry. Would you go out with me? You see what I'm saying? In other words, you're way too advanced. Oh, my minimum on a part-time person is 10 people a day. Okay, so you need to connect with 10 people a day because there is a momentum that, has anybody driven a boat? Do you know how a boat will, if this is the water, the boat will just plow water until it gets a certain speed and then it gets up on top of water? Do you know what I'm talking about with that? Okay, it's the same way with prospects. Until you are doing 10 a day, you just plow. And then when people do join the business, you have one in and then one leaves. And so you're just playing add drop. You're never really getting enough momentum that your attrition is faster than you bringing people in. But once you get up above 10 a day, now you're keeping more people than are leaving. And then it begins to accumulate. So it's a 10 a day. And once you have about 90 active people is when the thing starts really compounding. Those are the numbers that I have just always seen hold true. 350 active people is when you typically, you can let go of your day job because it's just boiling at that point. And when I say active, I'm talking about people who are doing this whole list, by the way. Number 5, set appointments. Appointment is set when a prospect agrees to review more information about your business or product. That is how you define an appointment. It's either to watch a video, watch a webinar, come to an in-home event, a hotel meeting room, meet one-on-one, two-on-one, or a luncheon, a phone call, a Skype call, Zoom call, Google Hangout. And if you guys think that it was easier to build back in the day, I'm going to tell you, no. Are you kidding me? We had landline phones. You couldn't walk. They hadn't invented these things called even mobile in your house. Okay, you had to like walk and hang onto that cord, right? So, and it was always in the kitchen, and that was where the baby was. That's where the wife was banging pots and pans, and you know, you couldn't do anything. So it's a lot easier than that today. Your income is directly related to the number of appointments you set. So if you want more money, set more appointments. There's a direct correlation. Number 6 is presentation. It only counts if your prospect has viewed a presentation. And so you know that long list? I have a tracking system on that, and it only counts when they actually watched it. It drives my tech team crazy because I make my tech team have heat maps on my videos, and so that I can see where they're interested in it. So it shows the timeline of the video, and it shows people's interest level. It shows when they're scrolling up the page. It shows when they stopped watching it. All of these things, because I don't get to give myself a real full point unless they watch the whole presentation. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Because it's the number of presentations watched is the correlation. Okay, retail sales. So when you have set an appointment, you then do a presentation. You can do a presentation about the product, or you can do a presentation about the business. And so when you do it with a product, retail sales come. When someone buys a product from you, that's a retail sale. Retail sales are essential to long-term reoccurring. It's what keeps regulators away from us. As we get customers, do everything you can to service the customer. So items 1 through 7 all of that activity to get a customer. Do everything you can to keep them. So you don't have to repeat 1 through 7 all the time. Because if you get a repeat customer, it's so much easier to keep one than it is to generate another one. So I put a lot of effort into acquiring the program that I've got through X-Fat Loss. One of the reasons that I did it is for retention. And so it keeps my customers in a Facebook community interacting. They got all of that training, so now they know exactly what supplements do in a person's body as opposed to what people used to think about supplements. And so that's my whole strategy of servicing the customer. And then I allow the customers to interact with each other. So I built a community of customers who are all on the same weight loss program. And so that I can see the questions that are going on and then I type in. That is a retention strategy to retain customers. I'm servicing them. I give them 8 hours worth of content. Why? Because I had a horrible experience. I told you about it earlier. So my check went from $65,000 to 16. I have a question for you. Why did it stop dropping? I remember every single month my check would come in and it had dropped a lot. And I kept waiting for it to stop dropping. And I remember calling the master distributor of that company and I said, when is it going to stop dropping? And he said, I'd love to know, Tim. And when it finally stopped, it stopped at 16. Well, that was baffling to me. Why 16? Is there some sort of a numbers guy out here who can tell me that it was the 17th planet from the Earth, you know, some crazy thing? Or was there some real thing behind it? Yes, there was something really behind it. My check stopped dropping at 16 because that was the level of customer consumption in my organization. Because customer consumption was different than business consumption. Business people, they all ran like cockroaches when the light comes on. They were gone. But all the customers, they didn't buy it because they were in business. They bought it because they loved the products. And so when I realized that your check, if you're attacked by the media, your check's going to drop into the level of consumption. And so that's why I call it that I work for my customer. I don't work for a boss, I work for a customer. And I work to keep them. Because no one will forget the weight they lost, even if it is a pyramid scheme. You see what I'm saying? When you have those before and after pictures, when you see what happens with Juve, when somebody really understands what the water purifier does, they will stay because of the product. All right. So that's why customers are so important. Sponsoring people. Anytime you get a person to join your team, number one, it's time to go to work. Number two, make sure that you sign them up correctly and get them started correctly. Next is do all you can do to help this person achieve their goal. Your job is not done when they sign up. In fact, it only just begins. Because you are going to walk that person through training, which is the next step, new rep training. And you just start back at number one. Alright, so start back at number one and train them on each step. Alright, everybody, just do kind of a reboot. And what I mean by a reboot is kind of wake yourself up a little bit, because what I'm about to say is one of the most vital things I will have taught you in our relationship. Whatever a person that you sponsor isn't doing, okay? Whatever they're not doing on this list, assume they can't do it, and then figure out why and help them. You must assume if they could have achieved financial success on their own, they already would have. They don't need you. Okay? So, you assume that they don't know how to do it. They do need you. That's the way you got to think about this. There have been occasions, but I'm talking about like 1 out of 1,000 or something, where a person will come to me and they got everything dialed in right. They just need the right company. Okay, so there you go. There are the activities. These little numbers right beside it, 4, 4, 5. These little numbers are Tim's weighted average. And what that means is I put a value on each of those activities so that I would put the most emphasis. When I have a split decision about what I'm going to do, that's what when I have a split decision, like, am I going to call prospects or am I going to return calls? Which one's more important? Huh? You see, if you have people to train, it's more important to train that new person than it is to call back prospects. Only for that moment. Get that person trained. In other words, don't wait on that. If I'm in the middle of signing somebody up, and that person is, like they say, call me tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock and let's call the company and start. So we're going to start the next morning, and you know that call, right? You call and they're not there. They don't answer the phone. It's more important to reach that person than it is to call prospects, because that person is already, they're right there. They're right on the edge. They just had this negative spouse. It's the only hurdle you got to get them past. Okay? So these are the point values, and so if I train 1 rep, then I'm going to put a 5 over here in my points. If I sponsored somebody, I'm going to put a 4 over here. If I do both of those on the same day, I scored at least 9 points. If I made a sell, then I've now got 13 points on a retail product. In other words, if somebody bought a product. So if I have, let's say I set 10 appointments, then I'm going to have 20 points over here. Everybody get the way that works? All right. A part-time person, they have to do 40 points a day. Okay, so for the total points, you have to do 40 a day. So you've got to figure out, get things out of your life in order to do it. And that's when you're going to see a ramp up occur. And there will be one of you who are going to come up and you're going to say the most profound thing to me, and I know it. You're going to say, Tim, of all the trainings that I've gone to in the last 10 years in network marketing, why does anybody train on anything other than just score 40 points a day? Everything else works itself out. Because it's in scoring 40 points a day that you're going to learn and force yourself to learn every one of these activities. Because whatever you can't do yourself, look at that subject and say, I honestly don't know how to promote. I need to learn how to promote. Or if you sit up here and you connect with, 20 people and you set no appointments, well, your phone skills are poor. Your communication qualities are wrong. You don't know that inviting formula well enough. You need to sit down with your spouse, go knees to knees, and just drill back and forth until you know those communication qualities like that. Have each other check each other all throughout the day about those communication qualities. See when it goes out. Experience it. All right. So, I know this is dangerous, but I just want to make sure, I want to check in with you and make sure that you get this little grid here. Like that this is a daily checklist. Each one of these items is itself a subject to master. When you know all of these, people come up with these silly words to call you things like legend and stuff. Stupid stuff. Okay? It's not. I'm not any kind of a legend. I'm a simple-minded guy. That's all I am. I care a whole lot about people. I really care that they succeed. And that's all there is to this. Don't let anybody think that it's some kind of hocus pocus. It's not. You help people. You be interested in that person. You care. You listen to them. You don't get distracted by anything. You help them get things that they need, want, or don't want any more of. That's all you do. And you just do numbers of them. And then this great company called RX sends you these big giant checks, and you're kind of scratching your head going, well, I know I work real hard, but not that hard. You know, like, oh. So it's an incredible experience, guys. There's no such thing as a person who can't succeed in network marketing, only a person unwilling to learn and get good or great at these 9 activities. That's all there is. Does anybody have any questions on, I just don't want to get up if somebody's hung up on any of these things. Anybody have a question? You have to yell like thunder in order to be heard. But anybody have any questions on it? As if I could see.
Is it 40 points per day part-time?
Is it 40 points per day part-time?
Yes, 40 points a day. I had somebody actually petition me. They petitioned to lower it because they said it's too much activity for a part-time person. And I said, no, it's not. It's not based upon people's opinion. It's not a bell curve survey. It is that I have seen that if you want to no longer do the business part-time, but you want to go full-time, you want to fire your boss, or you want to just, put your business, your medical practice on hold while you go and enjoy life. If you want to do that, it's got to be 40 points minimum. And what I do is it averages for a 7-day week. It's what I do. It's got to average 40. Okay. For what? For full time, don't stop until you're making too much money. All right? I am not going to put a ceiling for you. Okay? Because there are some times, based on my advertising, that I'll score 5,000 points in a day. Let them roll, baby. Just... I am not letting off that steering wheel until the car blows apart, Just keep going. So I won't put a lid on anybody. All right. Yes, ma'am. Yep. I keep following up. Okay, this is a great question. So when you call a prospect, you ask them to look at a video, they said they would, you call them back, and they didn't look at the video. So you just start the invite call over again and say, okay, all right, so, very good, it's okay if you didn't watch the video, I want to help you get to spend more time on the golf course or whatever it was that they said they wanted, and then just reset the appointment. Well, you get a chance to do it tomorrow. So you do that. But if when you call them back, instead, they never answered the phone, and then they don't answer the phone the next time you call, 7 times is the most number of times you would ever call back a prospect who has not called you back. I have found a diminishing return after 7. But up until 7, the curve is still going up. So always follow up at least 7 times. Yeah. It's the craziest thing. I have tested it so many times. But yeah, follow up 7 times. And the 7th time, the last time you call somebody to follow up, I recommend you finish the relationship on that subject. So it's one of those things where I will say, hey, you know what? I'm going to take your lack of calling me back. I'm going to take the lack of you doing that as that you're not interested. And because you're a friend of mine, I just want to check in with you and make sure I haven't damaged the relationship in any kind of a way. Because you are more important than any business would ever be. So if I've damaged the relationship, please let me know it and I'll make up the damage to you. Okay? And so normally they'll call back immediately and go, no, I just, I was going to call you back, I never did, and blah, blah, blah. And I don't ever talk about the business. Again, they have to pull it out of me because I'm not going to work with somebody who will ignore me 7 times anyway. Okay, I think that was it.
Amazing.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.